Yo, we'd like to welcome you to another Bro Foundation episode. I am your host, Jay Hunter. I have my man's Complex Key and my man Big Hen. And we here. Ty couldn't be here tonight, Mindset King. Shout out to him. He couldn't be here. So we just wanted to let you know that we thinking about you and we're gonna roll with it. So tonight's discussion is a deep one. We talking about depressed by culture, and we're going to get into it. I know it might sound kind of like what are y'all talking about, but we're gonna break it down in the terms of how we feel, and we just conversating. And you have anything you want to add to anything like that, you can always go to our pages. We all online, man. If you want to just listen to it, you can go to Spotify. We on Instagram, Facebook. So we everywhere. So we coming. But we here, have like some nice conversations, man. All these past conversations have been really, really good. Like we want to give a shout out to this month represents mental health awareness. So we take that very, very serious. Mental health is what you have, and we gonna share some of our beliefs and our feelings towards that issue, and let you know and have yourself being comfortable knowing that you can talk to someone. People do love you, and we can get through this all together. So we're gonna break this down tonight, and we're gonna talk about this straight into it. So I looked at the word depression. And depression is something that I deal with every single day of my life. Anxiety, coping with it as a Black male, like going through society, driving in your car. We don't even feel safe some places, because of how the world operates and how it goes. Now, we know that the world can be a cruel place to live in, to be around, but we also have to understand that a lot of these things that we deal with is literally not our fault. So with that being said, I looked up the word depression, and it says a constant feeling of sadness and loss of interest which stop you in your normal doing of activities. And what we mean by depressed by the culture is really, I have to trace it back and think about where did all of this depression come from with myself. And it was a lot of childhood trauma that I went through that made me be this person that locked myself in a room and don't come out for days, or I might not eat. I might not even speak to anyone. And I always felt like something was wrong, but I never knew where it was coming from. Some of the examples that we have, in case it was like we was chopping it up the other day, me and the bros, and we was talking about how like whenever your mom used to tell you, like we brought up a scenario the other day. They were saying, "Oh, mom, I'm depressed," as the child, but she'll say, "Go depress them dishes."
Right.
So it don't allow you to be or feel a certain way, as especially a male child. We coming up, boy, stop all that crying. It's gonna make you soft. And what is that teaching, a kid that always feel he has to bottle up his feelings inside? As me, growing up I'm 41 years old now, and I'm still finally getting to that point where I can talk about my problems. And now since I met my bros, like you have to have somebody in your corner that you can trust, somebody that you love, or it could even be somebody that you don't know, or somebody just listen. And sometimes that's all people want, is someone to listen to what they have going on. So me getting turned away as a child, hey mom, this is what I'm dealing with. Hey dad, this is what I'm dealing with. Man, get out of my face. They got their own anxieties. They got their own depressions that they deal with. But the culture make it seem, and because we don't, half of us didn't know, our parents didn't know, that is something wrong with you if you do have these issues. And we trying to tell you that it's nothing wrong with you. We seek guidance. We understand that these issues arises not just in Black homes, but it arises for everybody. It's a universal thing. And it's like, and they say it's 4 out of 10 people are dealing with anxiety.
Mm.
And that's something that's and how a lot of people break it down sometimes, because we all universally deal with some type of anxiety. You can have anxiety before you deliver a speech, or before you have to sing or perform or do anything in front of a crowd. You might have social anxiety, and it's all different types that you could break down. But it was just interesting to me that I found out, like, through this discussion that we're going to talk about tonight, that I had to go down traditionally of what happened with my parents, their parents, and their parents, and then who's going to break this generational curse that we deal with on a normal, in our society, and us just thinking like everything, because like Cole said earlier, we all heard no all the time. So when you hear that word all the time, it started to get embedded in you and you start believing that. So I'm gonna tip it all to one of you guys. I just wanted to break it off like that, but I want to hear y'all, what y'all have to say about it too as well. So let's roll with it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Henry, man. We missed you last time, so I want you to go ahead and drop them gems, drop them keys.
That's something. I guess the basis of this conversation is that a lot of this stuff is hereditary. You didn't really know that that's what you were causing to your kids. By telling them, no, don't ask me for this, don't ask me that, because you're trying to, portray to the world that your kids are good. They're understanding, they listen, they're well behaved, yada, 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 yada. But, fast forward 15, 20 years, now your kids, they raising a family, and they're going to spew out the exact same thing because that's what they grew up hearing. So this must be good. This must be right. My mom and dad told me, my grandmama and granddad told me, so this must be what I got to do. And you just perpetuate the same ideology. Now, in the midst of that, the kids go through not only whatever they go through, around you, and then within your household, they go through a myriad of different things. Like you said, if they're crying, and stop all that crying, man up. So at a very early age, you're being taught that, you can, the only emotion you can't express is hurt. Nobody's telling you to stop all that smiling when you're in love, or you just happy, or stop all, well, I guess that kikiing, that is kind of a, stop all that laughing, but you don't really get that as much as stop all that crying. You little boy, straighten up. Little girls cry. That's a hell of a weight to put on a child's mind, because they don't, at that point they may not even understand the significance, or from boys to girl, or that what I'm doing now is making somebody that I care about and that's responsible for me, making them call me different from what I actually am. This is their viewpoint of it. So you start to act in a manner of, okay, I ain't crying no more. I'm a man, I'm gonna be tough. And prisons are filled with a lot of people, and their main problem in the world, or I guess their first problem in the world, was they did not know how to express their emotions. They didn't know how to deal with them. And over time, you don't. I mean, that's one of those lessons, honesty. If you don't learn how to deal with your emotions as a child, how the hell are you supposed to learn how to deal with it as a man? Because now you have an image that you lived for so long, you like to believe that's your identity. And that's how you're going to move. But with being taught those lessons inadvertently, at a very early age. I go back to the prison analogy. The prison's also filled with a lot of people that don't honestly know themselves. All they know is they're the person that was built as a response to trauma that they grew up around.
Real.
So if they were getting picked on when they were young, the quickest way to stop people from picking on you is learn how to fight.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got it where instead of you defending yourself, now you become the aggressor because you want to cut people off before they have a chance to pick at you. So we're going to nip all that in the bud. But now you still carrying that anger, that weight, and that's all it is, just repressed anger. You just don't have a way to get rid of it. You don't have a focal point except for you can protect yourself. Even if that means I got to hurt you before you get a chance to hurt me, then so be it. And you'll go through life like so and just spreading that same pain, that same hurt onto others. It's liking almost a cancer, because once it starts getting in, it just starts to spread to people all around. So I think you got to figure out at some point, how we grew up, and there's no fault to our parents because they practice what they, how they grew up. But at some point, you have to make the decision now that we know how it affects the kids, as they getting older, to try to step out and do differently. Like, I grew up in the era of spankings, you get your butt tore. But I'm trying to do differently because earlier part of my life, that's what I did. And I had chances where I really, really thought about the entire actions of it and where that comes from. It's hard. It's hard to look at a child's eye, and they love it. They not understand it, but they love it and trust it. Even if they did something wrong that may warrant it, to inflict that type of anger and pain, because who disciplines with a smile on their face? Who disciplines in a manner where it just seems happy, everything's, as normal? Usually it's in a, it kind of is an angry scene. And that what the child also carries. Not only that the physical pain, but the emotional pain that comes along with. So you got to get to a point where you can figure out something differently to do to try to protect them from certain scars that they'll have to go through therapy to try to fix later on, or for them to try to understand and filter out that mom and dad was just trying to, raise me the best way they know how. That's years from now by the time they potentially get that understanding. The period between now and then, a lot can go wrong. In a lot of ways, they can also already start spreading that before we even get a chance to make things right, make things better.
Man, y'all really hitting these nuggets, boy. I'm telling y'all, like, it's listening to y'all, man. It's just one thing that I appreciate about you gentlemen, just having these conversations, because we all have different perspectives and we all are able to voice those perspectives from our experience. So it's just like hearing everybody speak from their own is dope, man. And it's just like, as I'm listening to y'all, I'm just grabbing my own ideas about what depressed to the culture is. Like, how has that affected us? And it's just like, depressing the culture is, you know what I'm saying, that young boy playing a sport and his coach continuously yelling at him in a way that he doesn't really receive. It's that that rejection at the job, but you gotta act like it didn't happen. It's again, it's you going into the store with your mom and she telling you like, hey, don't ask for nothing. We go in the store, don't pick up nothing, don't touch nothing, not really knowing the why to it all. It's like you kind of just go through these motions, rather, again, young boy, young girl. And then when you go through those motions, it's like you don't need, like you said, you don't even really realize what it's doing to you internally. And it's just like you decompress. Decompressing is not the same as like compression. You feel me? So these are like two different things that you should be doing, holding something in or letting it out. But we go through this process of life and again, just bottling everything up and not fully functioning at our best level of, at our highest capacity. Cause again, we're operating at a lower frequency. And then it goes, like I said, like a lot of the things that we went through, you never knew the why you couldn't do it. You never really understood why you couldn't do this or why you couldn't do that, but everybody else could. Because when we think about culture, culture comes from a more of a family dynamic, like what your family consists of, what your family has created as tradition or taboo or yes or no, right or wrong type of thing. That's what happens in your household. And then in somebody else's household, just for example, being out past that curfew. Them street lights come on. Hey, you in the house by them street lights coming on. Ain't no friends coming in this house unless you got your homework done. That was the rules. That was the regulations. But then there was other kids who was outside, not really understanding that everybody else's culture within their own home is different than yours. So now you living up to these expectations of like, I can't do this because of this, or I can't do this because of that, but they can do it. They can do that. And now you comparing things. Now you taking away your joy that you could have because you comparing yourself to somebody else. But again, we do all of that because it's like we have to operate under a certain type of dynamic. Again, I don't know about y'all, but growing up, it was always a thing that when you go to a store, you got to get a receipt. And it's just like, well, what you need a receipt for? Well, unfortunately, in a community that we all grew up where I'm from, it's like you don't want to be the young black boy that got caught stealing, although you paid for something. So to leave a paper trail of what you did, you get a receipt for your purchase. Just in the case that the police pull up on you, for whatever odd reason, you have receipt, you have proof that hey, I went to the store, I bought this, you ain't got no reason to, mishandle me. Again, that's the cultural understanding that because of what I look like, where I live, certain situations that I go through, these other people may not go through. I gotta now understand that it wasn't nothing I did wrong, per se. It was more so the culture that I'm in around and surrounded by kind of makes other people again move a certain way based off what they don't know or what they don't fear. So now not only are you living in a world that kind of goes against what you may want to do, you may even be different in your household. You're going against your household. You go into your school. You're different in school. And again, it's not because anything other than, of course, you just are your own unique being. But processing all of this, going through all these situations, trying to understand it, analyze it again. We're grown men now, still understanding the things we went through when we was 15, 16, or even 8. So it's just like, again, to break down that cultural understanding, you got to go into the crib. You got to understand what your family household look like. And then look at what the friendship around your house look like. Look at the friendships you had in school, outside of school, when you went to college, like what all did that consist of? And how much of that has really impacted you internally, or now you can't even think at your highest capacity. And again, me, that's just a piece of, again, depressed by the culture, because where does it all start?
Man, that's factuals, man. Man, y'all, this convo, man, I love it, bro, because it brings me back to when you think, like, none of us asked to be here. And then you look at your kids and you're like, oh, these kids haven't asked to be here. With that being said, you have two different types of bloodline inside of your blood. Two types of DNA that's inside of your blood that makes you who you are as an individual. And for instance, some of the characteristics that I picked up on as a kid and as a child was through my parents. And it was a lot of times, like for right now, like on my dad's side, we go by our last name, Tobias, but we also call ourselves TT. So that's a Tobias temper. You don't want to see that temper. You get what I'm saying? Yo, don't let me pull out the Tobias temper. And we was proud of that. And when I dissected, I'm like, man, I don't want to be walking around angry all the time. I don't want to walk around depressed all the time. I don't want to walk around being paranoid all the time, because that's what I have picked up over the years. That was the things that was invested inside of me when I was born. And like him said, you can't blame your parents for something that they didn't know as well. But I didn't understand that until I got mature enough, because it caused a little resentment, because I'm like, man, why did y'all have me if y'all doing all this or this or that? You know, and it was very difficult for me growing up thinking about all of this, because it just molded me into a person that I knew I loved people, but inside it was just like I had a lot of stuff, a lot of clutter to like change about me. And I just blamed it on everybody else. I didn't realize that in order to make change, you have to recognize the change. You got to recognize the situation first, then you can confront the change. So what I did was I developed something when I started looking at myself, and I'm like, okay, do you want your child to be like this? They don't have to be like this because they're watching your examples. I watched the example where my parents couldn't understand. They didn't see it from that part to try to break the curse. So I had to do it. You know what I mean? So now I'm working on myself and understanding, like, okay, I forgive y'all because I understand it now, because it was traveled from our bloodline that with a lot of this stuff going on. So my question is pretty much like for you guys, it's a good question, because I'm having a book that I'm going to produce out probably next month of July, one of the two. But it's all about all of this right here. And one of my chapters inside of the book is, what is your outlet? What do you go to whenever you have anger? Are you depressed? Are you stressed out? Like, these are the questions that you have to ask yourself that can help you, turn a rainy day into a sunny day. You know what I'm saying? Or these are the things that drug me out of the room, because it's like, okay, this is activities that I like to do. So sometimes you have to look inside of that, because whenever I went to therapy, I had to go through therapy to go through this, because I thought something was really wrong with me. So I went through therapy, and my therapist always told me, like, what do you like to do? What do Jesse likes? Like, I know you like whatever everybody else like, or your mate, or your significant other. I could tell you X, Y, and Z, or what Jasmine like. I could tell you right now. But what do Jesse like? So you have to like put that inside of your mind, that, like, you can have these activities, or, conversations, or long walks in nature, or whatever, like, to get these stress levels down, the anger down, and, your depression. So what are some things that help you guys, if we all humans, you might not deal with a depression level to where I deal with it at, or you might just be dealing with anger, or you might be dealing with something else. But what are some things that help you guys channel your mental, like, and keep it sharp and keep it going? Like, what are some of the things that y'all like to do? What is y'all activities?
Mine is I've always been a music head, and it was traditionally just well, I can say traditionally it's rap and R&B, and it really just kind of depends on what my mood is, and if it's like a time or period where I'm angry, or my anxiety level is fairly up, then it could be rap. But if it's something like I'm mellowed out or want to be mellowed out, then it might be more so older music. And geez, man, that's been like since I recognize maybe late teens. I guess music has manipulated my emotional state for probably that length of time. Like, even when I went through previous divorce, and I guess, as I said once before, my supervillain origin story, I really dove off into music then, because it really would help me with my particular mood. So if it was something that I really was feeling the pressure of the world, and feel like pressure was just building up, In all honesty, sometimes I just need to let it out. And I just play a bunch of, music that fits that particular mood. And I just like to have a session to myself. I just chill and just, I guess everything else just kind of dissipated. I just kind of lost myself in the music. So that's has been and always still is a constant.
Yeah. And man, I think for me, when it comes down to it, it still boils down to music. Because music, we kind of talked about this last week when we touched on the whole frequency thing. Music has a certain way to approach each individual differently because it's universal. So depending on, like Henry said, depending on the mood, depending on where I'm at, certain music do certain things. And if I'm down, I won't say I'm always gonna go towards more slow mellow music. Because down, I want to feel the opposite. You know what I mean? So I may listen to something more uplifting rather than sad because I don't want to stay in that mood. I don't want to stay in that energy. But then again, there's times where I am in that mood and I want to go through that mood and that energy. Music plays a part. And then it may be something like meditation music with no words. It could be definitely like neo soul R&B, or it may just be the nature itself, taking a walk in nature and listening to nature's music, because that's going to be the best medicine for your body anyways, to tap in with Mother Earth, get grounded, and just allow you to be you and be what you are. But I think in my later days now, my escape is reading. Music go hand in hand with the gym. Y'all know I love going to work out, but now to calm myself down at any given time, I'll probably pick up a book, just because you away from your phone, you're away from electronics usually, and now you got to be present in this book to basically tap into whatever you read. And I know it ain't for everybody because some people do need audios, and that's dope too. But I don't know, it's just something about a book and the smell of a book and turning the pages and reading the words that, outside of music and working out, if I need to decompress, just from my day, what I'm going through, a good book or even just a chapter in the book will kind of get you in that mood, or it'll pick you up typically, because the book usually has some type of knowledge in it. It's usually something helping you get to a certain point, whether it's a self-help book, it's a wellness book, it could be a book of faith, or whatever the case may be. It's going to be some type of sign in there, some type of, whatever you want to call it, that's going to come out in that book, and it's going to give you a different perspective. So then for me, like I said, between music, reading, and working out, they're my top 3 relievers of stress and a way to decompress. It's my best, it's my go-to, man. On top of a nice little glass of wine. You feel me?
Right.
Wine. All right.
And you know it, and it comes from habit too as well, right? So while we breaking this down, we all have the same one, is pretty much music is the top one, right? But whenever you look at it, whenever you kind of dissect it like we're doing it right now, it's like, here we are, it's like, okay, this is my go-to. Like before this question, I didn't even think about that question. It was more of a habit because I'm just like, that was me, So my biggest thing too as well, I like water. So I'll go sit by the park, listen to the water. The sounds just calms me, bro. Like I don't know what it does to me. I'm either getting in it or I'm sitting next to it. So
Thanks.
I had another one is journaling. I picked up on that habit because that's what I used to do when I was a little boy. And my parents were a little strict, so I couldn't really go nowhere with my friends and stuff like that. So I would go write rap music. I would write songs. I would write poetry. I would just write my feelings. And I still do that to this day. If I have like a really, really rough day too as well, I just journal it. And because I always felt like I didn't want to put none of this on nobody else, because everybody got something going on, right? So if you cannot talk to somebody, which is understandable, because you're like, man, I don't know if that person gonna want to hear all this, man, or want to talk about this, or you want to vent. It's a lot of times that's where I vented to myself and to the universe. I just let it all out, like right there, and I I felt like that helped me a lot because it helped all of that inside trap anger that I felt. And it just made a 360 for me because I was able to do that. So I can share this because last year, my wife was in the hospital and last year, and I went ahead. I had I lost my job. Couldn't fully try to take care of my family, my daughter. So that put me in a whole different space, right? And I went to the park where I always go, and I saw my young self because I tried to have a suicide attempt when I was 11 years old, and I was on a bike, and it was this little, we call it a ditch back where I'm coming from. It's a little body of water right there, and I was against the edge of it, and my parents come out, my sister come out, and I just told them, I said, goodbye, I'm sorry, I'm done, boom, and I just fell in the water. So instead of me getting consultation, I caught a whooping. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, what are you doing? Like, why you did that? And I understand it. It's like that's your first reaction, but it's like, okay, something is going on with this child, right? So I'm going somewhere with this. So fast forward, 30 something years later, 36 years later, and I'm just looking at that same little boy, man. And I'm and it's like a little dam where the park is at. So the water is flowing right there, and it's like a little level part where it's almost similar. And I catch chill bumps thinking about this. But I was going through so much, man. And I looked at my young self, and myself looked at me, and I told him, I said, hey, buddy, I love you. I love you, bro. I love you. You are a Black king. You are the man. Like you gonna be okay, And I broke down, bro. And it was this white lady in her 50s, maybe 50s, 60s. She was walking at the same time, and she picked me up. She's like, "Are you okay, sir? Are you okay?" And I just let it out, bro. But I needed that because of what I was feeling. I was like, man, it's that same little boy, but he's a grown man now, and he understands his issues, and he understands what happened during that time. So I'm able to channel that now and talk about it because that was very sacred for me, and it was hard for me to talk about. But now I can talk about it because I'm like, maybe this could help somebody else, knowing that, hey, it's not your fault. Like I said in the beginning of this, it's not your fault. Everything is gonna be okay. And that's all I said. And that's the name of my book, is entitled Are You Okay? Because that's a nice question that we all want to hear, bro, at times. Hey, dog, you good? You okay? And that could be any kind of way, And if we don't hear from each other for a couple of days, we like, Cole, you good, bro? And what's up, man? I ain't hear from Ty. What's good? We built that connection now to understand. It's like, okay, man, I haven't heard from my brother in a couple of days. Just checking on you, bro. Are you okay? And that person might not be okay, but that's all they needed to hear to keep their day going, or man, somebody care, somebody. But what if you don't have that outlet? Just know that you have all kind of different things that you can go listen to. You can go to counseling. You can go to, just Big Brother things. It's all kind of different programs that can help out if you don't have someone that can be in your corner and listen to your vent. So I can brush on that all day, man. I didn't want to, but it's just this topic right here is so sacred to me because of what we deal with as people, and it's universal. So that what makes it even better, because it's like we all deal with it in some type or different form.
Absolutely. There's so many people walking around dealing with the exact same issues, but nobody's talking, so nobody knows that. It seems almost alien And you feel like you're the only person that very well feel like that, but it's just a matter that nobody talks about it. Kind of persons from, our upbringing where you bottle away your feelings. You don't talk, men not supposed to be emotional like that. So we grow up not being emotional like that. And even if we are, we try to repress it so much because we don't want anybody else to, see it. But we all walk around carrying the exact same baggage, man. Yeah. And we all trying to make our way through life the exact same way. And for those that's carrying a lot of baggage, the more and more you carry around like that, you kind of start to isolate yourself off from others because you don't talk. You keep everything, so compressed, and you try to put on this facade that, everything's cool, that you just get to a point where you can't see anything else but yourself. First law of nature is, self-preservation. So you can't see that you have to be able to reach out and talk to people to let them know, something's going on with me. I just need somebody to talk to. Because if you always look all right, I'm going to check on you here and there. But, if I don't know anything's going on with you, I don't know to check on with you because I don't know that. But you're not showing it as well. And the only thing you see is, I'm going through this. I got the weight of the world on me, and ain't nobody checking on me. Don't nobody want to know how I'm doing. You start to have a selfish outlook on it because I'm struggling. Meanwhile, they over there, they having the time of their life. It sure must be nice. I love to be having the time of my life. Speak up.
Yeah.
We try to pay attention to what's going on around us. And in some cases, I'm probably guilty of that on both sides of that. And now I'm starting to learn, at 51 years, that, sometimes if I got stuff going on, I got people around me I can talk to. I don't have to carry the weight of my world on my shoulders by myself. Even if it's something that you can't physically help me with, you can't actually answer a question for me. Some cases, just a matter of just having somebody listen, get it off your chest a little bit. That's enough to kind of burp the container if you're old enough to remember Tupperware, just to make it, for a little longer. Whatever it is you got to go through. But you got to be able to speak up. There's nothing wrong with feeling. Going through emotions, there's nothing wrong with it. There's no embarrassment. There's no humility to it. It's all part of this thing that we go through as life. There's just one emotion that we go through, cycle of the rest of it. But just as you have the same enthusiasm and joy in, when things are going great with you, be able to share when stuff isn't going that well for you. You can either help somebody or somebody can help you. But the main thing is you don't have to go through it by yourself.
Yeah. And and that it's a great segue to what I want to say to Jesse, man. And one, I just want to say, take my hat off for you for sharing that with us. Bro, that's a heavy testimony, and it's it goes back into the history of what you have. And I want to say that's a part of the brain called the hippocampus or something like that. I forgot that, but basically it's part of the part of our life where our memory is located at. That's the part of the brain where it locks in on our memory. And it's just like, as well as we need to let go of things, we also got to know how and when to let people in on the things that we got going on. And just to touch on something that you did say though, Jesse, is like, because I've done it myself. A lot of times people that want to help us, they want us to come to them. Although we sometimes want them to come to us. It's kind of like a play on just actions. The same breath, we have to make sure that mentally we aren't telling ourselves that we are a burden to that person or to these people, because it's not fair to them. we now taking out the opportunity to now be that shoulder or that ear for us to hear. And like I said, I've done it myself numerous times where it's like, rather than talking about my feelings, I'm just like, it's cool. We don't need to talk about it. I don't want to bother you. And I mean, I'm probably done said it to y'all before. You know what I mean? Because I really don't want to bring my issue on y'all, knowing that I got a lot going on. If y'all got a lot going on, some people, they soak it in. So again, that subconscious and the conscious all at one time trying to make a decision. But those who really rock with us at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, when we do have a problem, we have to be able to voice it. We have to be able to get our words together to let them in. And then that's a part, again, being depressed from our culture. Like Henry said, a lot of times we don't even have the words to say what we need to say. We don't have the mental capacity to know how to say it at times because we never been gifted that pleasure. So as we grow up, we learn these different things about ourselves through situations and mistakes. We start to gather the understanding of it now, so now we can comprehend it and then now relate that back to someone verbally. But again, if it wasn't for those experiences that had happened to us, we wouldn't even know that it exists. So it's a whole domino effect into understanding, like, you got to tap into self first and foremost. Looking in your mirror, being able to go to sleep at night, wake up in the morning, knowing who you are. And then if you don't like what you see in the mirror, being that change that you said to now be a better version of yourself, or being a better version to the people around you or for the world as a whole. We have to be able to take that accountability, like you said, to soak it in, personalizing it, and then of course now take the efforts and that understanding into the world to tackle it. But man, bro, just like I said, listening to both of y'all at the beginning of this, it's just like the perspectives that we have is just crucial, bro. And it gives us insight on what y'all going through, how y'all look at it, how y'all feel. Now I just want to make sure that everyone that we touch, that hears us, that's listening to us, that the audience have us, that's including Ty, that if they want to share their thoughts, they want to vent, there's a platform for that. And we're on all platforms that you can reach us. I mean, and even if you wanted to email us, it's there. So us having this conversation is just bringing it to the table that, hey, we are humans just like y'all. We all go through these same obstacles, and going through that process is what helping us be able to talk about it now, and then for others to then take out what we say and pick up what we putting down. So at the end of it all, you got to tap in with self. Tap into your star player and find out what that person likes without nobody influence, without no other materialistic things. Tap into what you like. Also tap into what you don't like. And when you be able to answer those questions, you can start to realize why these things affect you, because it don't really, it don't align with your core self. And again, that's just a step, is a big one, but the acknowledgement and then that first step is key. For real, for real.
Man, that's dope, bro. I have one more story I want to share, bro, before, we get out of here. But I had in 2011, and this is where the title "Are You Okay" come from. So I was delivering ice cream, 2011, going to 7-Elevens, going to all kind of different stores and merchandising. So my route would be so early in the morning, like 3:30, 4 o'clock where I get started. So I was in a very dangerous part, but it had this guy, I'll never forget, it was 7-Eleven. And this guy, he was clean cut. He had a business type, suit on, and his tie was kind of like, not all the way tied up, but it was, like how you about to take it off. And I could just see him. He just sitting there. He was just sitting there, and he didn't look homeless or anything. So, and I always speak to everybody whenever I see, kind of like look at your surroundings and check it out and all that. So I'm about to go in the store, and I was like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" Like that. And he didn't say anything. He just stared at me. So I'm like, "All right, cool." So I go in the store, go figure out my order, see what I need to get, and I go to the truck, get my product, put it on my dock thing, and I'm like, I go back and I see him. He just staring at me, bro. Like, I'm like, "Man, you okay, man? Are you good?" Like that. And he just stared at me. So I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna just leave him alone." Just like that. So I went inside, put the stuff on the shelf, come back out, put all my stuff up, And he startled me, man, because I didn't know he was like behind me. So I'm like, he's like, hey, man. And I turned around. He was like, bro, he said, you just saved my life. I said, what you mean? He was like, you just asked me if I was okay. It had a whole bunch of people just walk through this whole store, man, like all for hours. And nobody asked me if I was all right. He had a Mercedes Benz parked outside, bro. But he was about to walk across this dangerous highway and kill himself and get himself done. He was just gonna walk in front of the traffic, bro. And that's what he told me. And he said, but by your kind gesture, I choose to live and I'm gonna keep on moving. So, like I said, that question for somebody, and it just shows like all of us as humankind, and just, man, that's why like now if I see you, I'm like, how you doing? What's up? Like, because you never know what people feeling, and you don't know. That man was on his way to his deathbed, bro, because of how he was dealing with life and nobody spoke to him. And that meant a lot to him. So, Chris, if you seeing this, man, like, man, God bless you, bro. I hope you doing what you need to do and still here, man. But I just would never ever forget that story. And we just brought up so many keys tonight that I feel that could simply help anybody that deal with these issues and these situations that we deal with, because you're not alone, man. Like Michael Jackson said, you're not alone. Like, that's real, man. We are here. Like, we are here, and we here, bro. Like, it's just amazing that we can have these type of platforms and be able to talk and express ourselves. And like Corey said earlier, you know, I never been this vulnerable in my life, but I like it because if I wasn't vulnerable, none of us right now would have been able to meet. Period.
That all started.
Because we are territorial creatures as males. And I'm like, oh man, this dude I ain't gonna step to this dude, man. I ain't gonna bother that dude, man. Like, that's how we think. So we not gonna ask for nothing. We just gonna sniff the territory and see if it's good or if it's cautious, or I'll be able to. And there's nothing wrong with those things, being cautious and understanding. But if a closed mouth don't get fed, bro.
Yes, sir.
And that was always been a term that I stick with. And the power of networking is everything, because that's where we are right now on this internet. The power of networking. Like, back then, we wouldn't even be able to meet each other because we didn't have these type of platforms. But now they're here, and we're taking advantage of it. And we have to give insight, and we choose to do this. This is volunteer time, you know, for all of us. We're away from our families for like an hour or two throughout the weekend just to have these talks for you guys and prepare them. But we also know the mission that we're on and what we want to get done. And that's to help our community, our people, our kids, and like get rid of all of this stuff that we been taught, the bad stuff that we've been taught, and just make it look, hey, it's good. It's okay. You know, it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to cry, man. It's okay to be, you know, you're going to be tough. Nobody taking that away from you, man. You a male, bro. We was built with all of that, man. I can go in the gym right now and go get these muscles, man. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we was designed to be. But in the inside, a lot of us are dying, bro, because we don't have that sacred place to go express these inner feelings.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you hit it, man. You hit it. It's man, we here at the end of the day. Everyone is love. You are their love. We just want to make sure that we get it off our chest. You know, it's nothing better than that free therapy. You know, those moments when it's like, rather an epiphany, it's a feeling of joy and excitement, or it's a cry. Whatever the feeling is, you know, it's meant for you to be. And you know, Jesse, you was meant to be in that man's life at that place. You was meant to have that job, to be at that store when you was there. Yeah, I mean, because his situation now is a testimony for you to now speak to other people. Then you just passing that torch along. So and again, it's just tapping into your core self, your star player, realizing that if you follow that divine timing, if you follow your gut, your instincts, I mean, first have a clean gut there, but if you follow your gut and you listen to those instincts that you are embedded with, they will lead you down the path. I ain't gonna say it's always the best one or the easiest, but it's meant for you to go down that way. So just stay tuned with that. Stay into the higher power as well. Wherever however you identify that as, tap into that higher power because that's when you don't have the answers, you are now able to seek that outside source to help you with it. And again, in that moment, it could be a brother, it could be a sister, a cousin, family, uncle, pastor, teacher, whomever. That may be a pillar to your uplifting, but tap into that higher power as well, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. But guys, this was a tremendous conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We definitely dived off into several different aspects of that depression conversation. How do we go about bringing change, like to just your everyday
Thank you, though.
brothers here and there that we run across? How do we initiate that conversation? Because even though we're saying now that it is a safe space to be able to have these conversations, do we really? I mean, as far as you happen to know a homeboy of yours, you just going, hey, man, what's going on? I hadn't heard from you a while. What's going on? What's good with you? Or do we just, still kind of fall in the same thing where we wait for somebody to reach out to us and saying, yeah, I got this going on?
Mm-hmm. I got a quick that, and I'm gonna cut your wisdom, Jesse. I put myself in the environment where I would find myself at. Meaning like a person who wants help in the gym. Well, if you go to the gym, there's gonna be somebody there that's probably smarter than you or stronger than you. You put yourself around people who think like you or at a higher level. I put myself in those environments. And then today, just speaking of the gym, I put myself in that environment to have a dope conversation similar to what we talking about unexpectedly, but very much so accurately timed. So it's just like put yourself in positions where you would find yourself. And I'm pretty sure you'll find someone similar to you or not the same. I mean, similar to you or in a worse position or even better. And that'll align itself.
Man, boy, y'all hitting it, boy. I'm telling you, man. It brings so much joy, man, because I'm on the same level as what y'all saying, man. And especially like if I can give any advice, especially from a male perspective, bro, it's like, man, we gotta bury our egos at times, bro. We have to bury it. And just saying like, oh man, that man might not want to hear that or that. Man, you never know, man. He might be going through the same thing, and y'all can talk about this together, and get through it, So that's what I had to do. I basically I reached out to Mindset King Tyrus, man, and he was doing videos on mindset, man, and that was something that I was interested in because I'm like, man, that's something that I need to change about with myself. So I reached out to that brother. It took me a while because I was like, man, that man don't want to hear, he don't know me, but you never know where that could lead, man. And it's like you have some brothers that can hold you accountable and everything that you have going on is safe, and I know we have a hard time dealing with trusting, but you have to find people that you could trust, bro, or the other route that I was saying, there's nothing wrong with counseling, man. Shout out to Charlemagne, the God, bro. That man there made it so possible for us as Black men to be to look at it from a different scope that it's okay. And I'm women too, but I'm just saying from what I experienced as a Black male, he directed that channel to make it that it's okay to go ahead and reach out if you need help. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us might not be privileged to get good friends that's going to hold you accountable or in life, you know, but it's okay. You can always have somebody to talk to, or you could do like I did. Write it down, man. Write that vision. Write everything, you know, and you'll be surprised that how that builds so much character in yourself to where you can feel like you're able to just go ahead and have a spark of conversation. Like you said, Cole, you like spark a conversation with somebody. You know, I was a very sheltered, behind the scenes, reserved type of guy. What I'm doing right now, hosting and all, I would never in my years, because I would be like, okay, you can go do it, man. I was a background singer, you know, when I was coming up. I was behind the scenes playing instruments. So it's not, I never was a front guy like that, man. So like, but this is new for me, and my story may be able to help somebody, like Cole's story or Henry's story. That's Ty's story. That's why we come together every week to like give this information to you guys. So y'all had any final words to say, brothers?
No.
Good.
And peace, light, and love to all the guys in the earths. I'm gonna always end it with.
Yeah.
That's it.
Ken, you got something?
No, I think we done put a bow on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So quick reminders, man. Like so next month, we calling all the men, man. You know, that's a very special day. It's Father's Day. We're gonna have a nice convo about, you know, being alpha male. We're gonna bring some different things. We got a lot of different things coming up. We're gonna be doing like book readings together and dissecting what we learned. So it's a lot of good things that's about to happen. We taking it to the next level, and we just growing every day, every week. We growing and we learning each other. This is month 7, and it feel like 17 years I know these brothers. But that's just how the power of connection is, man. It's just once you get together, you just, like, I used to get very nervous about being in front of the camera and what I was going to say. But we all have, like you said, Cole, all those different perspectives, and we bring them together, and it just flows like the now. So we just want to thank y'all, man, for everything, for tuning in with us. We would like to give a shout out to all of y'all that's like in this every day, but understand that the fight is not over. We got to help each other and be there for each other. You have any questions, any ideas, any concerns, anything you want us to talk about, hit us up, especially on Instagram. We on Instagram a lot too as well. So the Bro Foundation and Instagram and all the different platforms that we have too as well. So email us too as well, like what Cole said. So if you got any questions or anything like that. So we about to bring it, man. We appreciate everything that y'all do for us. You know, so with that being said, you know, mental awareness month, we just flat that out, and you know, just know that it's all love. We here for you. And hopefully this conversation can touch you in a different way that you can make the changes or have the habits that you can create to get yourself out of these situations. So we appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
y'all. Be blessed.
Okay. Peace and love.